What is going on, guys? In today's tutorial we're going to be working with Adobe Premiere and working with creating transitional effects. I got a couple of little transitional effects that I'm going to be showing you guys in today's tutorial that's going to be good for when you guys are working with your video, to be able to make it a little bit more exciting, more appealing to the eyes, and they're really quick, they're easy, they're simple, and without anything else, let's just get right to it real quick. Alright. So as you guys can see here, I already have a couple of little clips that I'm going to be using for this video. And the first one we're going to be working with is called Luma Transition or Luma Effect. And the way that one works is we're going to go ahead and grab, we have two little videos right here. The first thing we want to go ahead and do is just drag one of them up to the top. And then we want to go over about 15 frames. Now you guys can see the number in the little gray that's underneath where it's telling you negative 0.0000015. Yeah, about 15 frames. That's pretty good right there. That's what we need. And then what we're going to do is to the top frame that we have right here, we're going to actually go over to our effects panel where we get our transitions from and stuff, and we're going to search for gradient. And you should see here gradient wipe under transition. We're going to go ahead and drag that and put it on the video on top. Now, if you notice, it gets on in the entire video, but that's okay. You guys should be in source clips right here, but once it's selected, go ahead and click effect controls, and you guys are going to get all these little menus that allow you to control the effect and be a little bit more, creative with your effects that you're working with. Now we're going to go ahead and head over to where the video first starts, and if you want to make sure that it's perfectly there, you guys can use this little tools down here at the bottom to kind of zoom in right there. We just want to make sure that it is exactly at the beginning. And under transition completion, you guys should see this little stopwatch. Let me go ahead and grab my webcam right here. I'm gonna make this, put it right around there. It's pretty good. There we go. Sorry about that. So right here under transition completion, you guys should see this little 0 right there, right at that marker. And so what we're going to do right here is we're going to go ahead and just click the little stopwatch, and that should add what is called a keyframe in Adobe Premiere. So with that keyframe there, what we're pretty much saying is that you want the effect to be at 0%, and 0% means non-existent. You can't see it. It's like invisible at the moment. And so what it's saying with the keyframe is that it's going to play all the way until it gets to that keyframe, and it's going to be stuck at 0 because you haven't made any changes. So then after that, we're going to drag the blue bar that's up here, the little blue slider, and we're going to drag it all the way until it gets to the very end of the clip. And then we're going to add right here 100. What that will allow us to do is for it to add another keyframe. The reason why it's adding a keyframe is because we've made a change to the video. The video went from 0, and then we have the little stopwatch turned on. So every time we make a change in our numbers, it'll add keyframes. If you make a mistake and that's not the keyframe you wanted, you can always select the individual keyframe, right click, and just clear it out. But for this one, we actually can select the last one, right click, and just put easy ease. And what that does is it allows it to kind of smooth inwards instead of like being all just here and here, and it just kind of smooths it in. And so the way this transition works is when you press spacebar, it does that little kind of effect right there. Real easy, nothing to it. And so if you guys can't play it out, that is due to the fact that our bar right here, at the current moment right here, it is red, and whenever the bar is red, it just means Adobe Premiere hasn't rendered it yet. So what we can do for this is just go ahead and press enter, and that'll render out and turn everything that's in here green. All right, so that is how you do the Luma effect. Simple. And again, we're going to want to be doing this to the beat of the music, so make sure your song is working good with your video, and you choose like a specific unique spot where you can work with. So the next transition that we're going to be doing is called the smooth zoom. And what we're going to want to do for this one is let's just go ahead and zoom out a little bit right here. And so we're going to grab these two clips. I'm just going to put these two up here so you can see that I'm working with those separately. And so what you're going to want to do is grab your slider and just put your slider right at the center. So I'm gonna zoom in here just to make sure that it's at the center. And now, once it's at the center, what we're gonna wanna do is go ahead and move 6 frames forward and then 6 frames back. And the way we're gonna be able to do that is by, going with our arrow keys on our keyboard. And we're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna grab our razor tool and we're just gonna cut it right there. And we're gonna go 6 frames back. Make sure you select it right here. Oops. Right around there. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then get this guy and then cut it right there. All right. So now that we have 6 and 6 right there, that's cut out. What we're going to do after that is we're going to select both of them and we're going to nest them. The way you do that is make sure you have your selection tool selected. You can kind of click on the gray area right here and just select both of them. You can right click on them and you're going to select nest. That's going to you can leave that as a default name. That's fine. That's going to kind of merge them in together. And so what we can do from there is apply the effect. So we're going to go ahead and go over to our effects panel right here. We're going to search for transform. Oops. And you should see it right here under video effects, distort, and you should see the words transform. We're going to go ahead and drag that over to our nest area right here. And then with the marker at the first part, we're going to go ahead and click on scale. Where is scale? Right here. Going to add a clock or stopwatch. We're going to leave that over at 100. Then we're going to go over 6 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to add this at 300. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and put this back at 100. So now we have 3 little keyframes. What we're going to do to this first one is select it, right click on the first one and put easy out. Click on this first one, right click, and then put bezier. Actually, it's auto bezier. And then select the last one and put easy in. There we go. So that's just gonna smooth out the transition, pretty much making it go woo, like that, really smooth. And then we're gonna just add a shutter angle of I believe it was like 360. And that one we're not adding a keyframe, we're just kind of letting it do that. So this is the transition right here. Pretty unique, pretty cool. So that is your zoom one, and that one's really cool, guys. I actually love that one myself. It's one of my favorites. So if you want to try it out, use it in your video, make it work, play around with it. There's a lot more stuff you can do if you wanted to, use the rotation tool instead of scale. Maybe you could rotate it or something, but essentially same thing, just play around with it. The next one that we're going to be working with is called X-ray strobe. And for this one's a little bit more complicated than the other, so we're going to zoom back out with this. We're going to grab these 2 videos up here and just put them on this third clip so we can see what we're doing. And then I'm going to go ahead and come here over to the beginning. Oh, these 2 are actually the same clip, so I'm going to have to grab a video from like somewhere else or something. Put this down here and grab this one. There, perfect. So those are 2 completely different clips. Now the way this one's going to work for the X-ray strobe is we're going to actually go and add a color matte. So the way we do that is we're going to head over to our browse panel. Sorry, not our browse, our project panel right here. Project, you guys see it? This is where you have all your video files, and we're going to right click inside here and we're going to put new item. And we're going to add a new color matte. So we're going to add a color matte. This can be stayed by default as long as it says 1920 by 1080. Click OK. This color matte is going to be white. We're going to click OK. And we can name it, white color matte. And click OK. And there we're going to drag our color matte right here. Make sure it's on top of our frames. And we're going to head over to the center of our videos. Again, if you don't know if that's the exact center, make sure you zoom into it. See, I was off by a little bit. and I'll just go ahead and put it there. From here, what we're going to do is we're going to count 5 frames to each side. You can do this by using the arrow keys, or you can actually do shift arrow key, and that moves you 5 frames exactly. So what we're going to do here is grab our razor tool. The shortcut for the razor tool is actually C on your keyboard, so I'm just going to press C. Go ahead and cut it right there, and go shift back and cut that right there. So that way we have 5 frames on each side. And then grab my selection tool and delete the ones that I don't want. Now for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to select it. Once it's selected, make sure we're on effect control panels, and we're going to open up the opacity. Under opacity, we're going to go ahead and turn this to difference. Where is it at? Where is difference? Right here. And so that creates this like weird looking color pattern right here that's going on. But the cool thing about it is we can now pretty much come up here, and under opacity, we can change this over to a 0, and we have nothing. So now we can go ahead and go 1 keyframe to the right and set this to 100. 1 keyframe to the right and set this to 0. 1 keyframe to the right, set this to 100, and all we're doing is going back and forth, you know, keyframe by keyframe, and you can add this as many times as you want to create the effect. And so let me just go ahead and continue here so you guys can see the way how this would look like. And so that's the last one there. And when I go back, it'll look like this. And it's just, as it's going through this, because it's going so fast, it tricks our mind, and the video actually switches to the next one. And it looks kind of cool, especially when you do it with like unique little videos that are actually like kind of similar to one another. And that right there, guys, is the X-ray strobe. So those are some of the little techniques that, you know, you guys can use. The other thing that I wanted to show you all is if I go over here, I can probably drag these and put these in my desktop for right now, I guess. But this is how these ones are going to work. So what we're going to do is head over to our effects right here, and under effects, just make sure you erase everything you have here. And under presets, we're actually going to right click on presets and put import presets. And when we do that, we're going to head over to where the ones that I have are located, which in my case are the desktop. I'm going to import the first one, transitional pack 1, and click open. So now when I open up my presets, you guys can see that there's 10 free smooth transition packs. And so the way these work, they're actually very simple, guys. I'll go ahead and erase this one right here. I'll use this as an example. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to go over to my project panel, right click, and put new item, adjustment layer, and click OK on that. And with this adjustment layer, I'm just going to add this adjustment layer right here to the top. And now this is actually important for this one. Under effects, when you open them up, you see that some of them say 20, some say 12, 20, 12. So that means you have to go 10 frames each. So let's go ahead and do the slide down right now. We're going to go to the center, and again, zoom in if you want to make sure you're at the center. And then we're going to go 10 frames to the right. So again, press shift and then go ahead and put the arrow key. So that's 5, 10. We're going to go ahead and cut it right here and cut it right there. And then shift this way, 1, 2, 1, 2, and cut these both right there. Now we have this right here. This is 10 frames. This is 10 frames. So we can now use this 20 frame slide down process. So what we're going to do with this slide down process, we're actually going to drag it to the adjustment layer. When we drag it to the adjustment layer, the effect kind of gets applied there, but then we have to add this base preset. We just dump one in here and dump the other one in there. Now when you play this, pretty cool, right? And these are already done for you. So some of them require a little bit of different techniques, but most of them are exactly the same. And so are the ones in in the other ones that we can actually add. So we have here right click, import, and we'll add the other 10. Now when we open up, we have this other 10s that you can use, which is like lens distortion or something like that. So one way we can do that one is, let me grab another video right here. So we have this clip, just put this over here and grab this one. Cool. So those are two different videos. We're going to go ahead and zoom in just to make sure that we go to the center. And then for this one, all we're going to do is, again, go ahead and add an adjustment layer to the top. Make sure it goes Shift 5. Shift 5. And we're going to go ahead and cut it. Shift 5. And we're going to go ahead and cut it. Then grab our V tool and delete these. So we have these two cuts and our videos at the bottom. So now we can go over to effects. We get lens distortion. And for this one, honestly, all you have to do is put in and put out. And we actually don't need the adjustment layer. And when you press play, pretty cool, right? You guys can actually mess with that around. If you guys don't like the way it looks, you can actually go over to the lens distortion, cancel, delete that. Click here and delete that. And we can do it in reverse order. So put out and then in. Perfect. That looks really cool. And again, they're all like really cool little things. So these are all like in and outs that you guys can use. So if we didn't use these, we could use other ones. So delete those. Delete those. And we can just go, for example, cross bin and then just put out and in. And then when we play it, super easy, guys. And we have a lot that we can use here. So 10 and 10, that's already 20 that you can use there, plus the ones I showed you. So that would be really good for you guys to use for your trailer and be able to do some really cool techniques. Again, if you all have any questions while you're working on this, just let me know and I'll be more than glad to help you guys out. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.